is the day that the great sage Thakur Bhaktivinoda appeared on this planet. In Krishna consciousness, there are so many auspicious days. It is not that our auspicious day is only once a year. Recently, devotees celebrated Janmashtami. Before that, Lord Balaram's birthday and Radhasmi. And yesterday, you celebrated Lord Vamandev's birthday and Jiva Goswami's appearance day. And today, Thakur Bhaktivinoda. So, I will read out the pranam mantra of Thakur Bhaktivinoda and explain it. Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachidananda Namane Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupa Nuga Varayate. The translation is, I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda, who is the transcendental energy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a strict follower of the Goswamis headed by Śrīla Rupa. So, Thakur Bhaktivinoda has been described as the energy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed from the planet, his true teachings got lost in the way. And Thakur Bhaktivinoda appeared to re-establish the true teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Spiritual knowledge comes through the parampara. Ivam parampara praptam imans rajasva vidu. Through the parampara one receives spiritual knowledge. Just like Krishna imparted this knowledge to Brahma, and so Brahma to Narada. So similarly, in our disciplic succession, Thakur Bhaktivinoda imparted this knowledge to Bhakti Siddhanta Ji. From Bhakti Siddhanta Ji it came to Srila Prabhupada and then to all of us. Spiritual knowledge has to be received through an authorized source, namely the bona fide spiritual master. Only then can one make spiritual advancement. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda was the energy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was able to spread Lord Chaitanya's teachings even though he was in the Grihastha ashram. Thakur Bhaktivinoda was a householder who was born as Kedarnath Datta. So Kedarnath Datta was very well educated. He was a magistrate in the British government, and he had 12 children. But Thakur Bhaktivinoda was very, very dedicated to fulfilling the mission of the Lord. The ideal guru can also be a Grihastha. It does not matter whether one is a brahmachari or Grihastha, as long as one is well versed in the science of Krishna consciousness. Therefore it is said, Kiva Vipra Kipa Sudra Nyaya Keha Naya. Yahi Krishna Tattva Vita Sai Krishna Sai Guru Haya. So it doesn't matter whether one is a Sudra or a Brahmana or a Grihastha or a Sannyasi. The essence of one who wants to be a spiritual master is that he must be well versed in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda could say that the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had become greatly distorted, and he was very disturbed. He was just thinking, how can the true teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu be re-established? So Thakur Bhaktivinoda was constantly meditating how he can fight all these opposing elements that were opposed to presenting the true teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In fact, even the Brahmanas at that time were grossly misusing their position. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda had also to fight the Brahmanas. He had to convince them that the real Brahmana is not on the basis of birth, but on the basis of qualification. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, on one occasion, was having a lengthy conversation with Ramananda Roy. All of you have heard of Ramananda Roy? So Ramananda Roy was the governor of Madras state in southern India. So Ramananda Roy was a Grihastha. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him a series of questions as to show that it doesn't matter whether one is Grihastha or Brahmachari, as long as one is fully versed in the science of Krishna consciousness. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda was working as a magistrate for the British government. And he had requested the government to please transfer him to Jagannath Puri. Have you heard of Jagannath Puri? It's nice, eh? There's a very big temple there called the Temple of Lord Jagannath. The word Jagannath means Lord of the universe. This Jagannath Puri temple is located in a place called Orissa. Mahashakti is from Orissa. So Orissa was also known in the olden days as Utkala. And Dhruva Maharaj was ruling from Utkala, Orissa. Actually, Utkala is the name also of the son of Dhruva Maharaj. So there's a very famous temple called Temple of Jagannath Puri. Thousands of people go there every day. And you must have read in teaching of Lord Chaitanya how Lord Chaitanya passed all his time in Jagannath Puri. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda became in charge because he was very religiously minded. The British government put him in charge of the Jagannath Puri temple. In the Jagannath Puri temple, you know how many times a day they offer prasad to the deities? 56 times a day. 56 times a day they offer bhoga to the deities. And they don't offer one or two items, hundreds of items. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda, when he became in charge of the temple, he was still working as a magistrate, but in addition to his duties of magistrate, he was also looking after the deity worship and making sure that all the offerings, etc., were in time. The Thakur Bhaktivinoda made sure that all the offerings to the deities were in time. In olden days, there were no restaurants. People would just go and eat in the temples. In all the big temples in India, they would serve prasad all day, free to anybody who came. So in the Jagannath Puri temple, the tradition was they would offer prasad 56 times a day to the deities, and after offering to the deities, it would be offered to the public. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda made sure that all these offerings were done in time. Now at the time Thakur Bhaktivinoda was magistrate in Orissa, there was a bogus yogi who was claiming that he is an incarnation of God. He was a very powerful yogi. He was claiming that he's incarnation of Vishnu. So from far people were coming to have his darshan, and he would also do the Rasa Leela with the young girls. So many people were sending their daughters and wives to dance with the Lord incarnate. And many people were also complaining that this man is stealing their wives and daughters and sisters and so on. And this mystic yogi was not living in the city, he was living in the jungle, in the forest. So the British government, when it got so many complaints, it told Thakur Bhaktivinoda, please go and investigate this man. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda put on civilian clothes, just like you have the KGB that used to walk around in civilian clothes. So in every country there's a department. In India they call it the CID. They walk around in civilian clothes, not in uniform. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda disguised himself in ordinary clothes, along with some policemen. He went in the middle of the night to that yogi's house. He was a very powerful yogi. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda was only standing at the entrance of the yogi's house when the yogi said, Mr. Kedarnath Datta, I know that you're standing at the entrance of the house. But the yogi was very smart. He said, I will make you king of India. Please don't bother me. Because the yogi was a cheater, but he had power, so he knew if Thakur Bhaktivinoda has come, he must have come for some purpose. So he was trying to bribe Thakur Bhaktivinoda. He said, I will make you king of India. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda then went inside the house and he came directly in front of that mystic yogi face to face. Thakur Bhaktivinoda said, you're such a powerful yogi. What are you doing in a jungle? You should go to the city. You should go to the city and have darshan of Lord Jagannath, because the Jagannath Puri temple was not very far from there. The yogi said, Lord Jagannath? Why should I have darshan of Lord Jagannath, that statue made of wood? I am Lord Jagannath. I am Krishna. I'm not going to go to that statue made of wood. So those who are less intelligent, they don't understand that the Lord can incarnate in the Archa Vigraha form. It may be made of wood or brass or metal or marble. This form of the Lord is non-different from the Lord. This should be carefully understood. So Archa Vigraha means the manifestation of the Lord in a personal form which is identical with the Lord. Just like in your country, do you have mailboxes? So just like if you post your letter in an authorized post box or the big post office, the letter will reach its destination. So similarly, when you worship a bona fide, an Archa Vigraha, the deity incarnation of the Lord, then that deity of the Lord is not different from the Lord. I know on one of my previous trips here, I gave you the story of Sakshi Gopal. So in the story of Sakshi Gopal, you saw how the deity can identify, speak, talk, walk. So when Thakur Bhaktivinoda saw that this yogi is saying, I am Krishna, and that statue of Lord Jagannath is made of wood, his blood began to boil. And Thakur Bhaktivinoda said, arrest him! Because Thakur Bhaktivinoda had come with many other policemen who were all in civilian clothes. And when this bogus yogi was arrested, all his followers who was there, they started protesting, no, you can't take him to prison. But Thakur Bhaktivinoda refused to budge. Now this man was a very powerful mystic yogi. At the time Thakur Bhaktivinoda had him arrested, after that his wife and children And the families of all the policemen who were involved in the arrest, they all became very, very sick. Even Thakur Bhaktivinoda's wife started saying, "What have you done? You've arrested Vishnu. That is why we are all sick." So Thakur Bhaktivinoda became sick and all his 12 children became sick. And they had more than 105-degree temperature. They were all very sick. And his wife was saying, "What have you done? You've arrested Vishnu. Therefore all our children and I'm sick." But Thakur Bhaktivinoda said, "Let them die. I don't care." His children and wife were dying. And they were pleading with him, "Release this yogi, release this yogi." All the friends were coming and saying, "Release him." But he said, "No, this man must be arrested." And all the family of the policemen, they were also all sick. So everybody was pleading with Thakur Bhaktivinoda, "Please release, you've arrested Vishnu. That's why we are suffering." But he refused to budge. This mystic yogi was trying to kill Bhaktivinoda's family. But Thakur Bhaktivinoda was not disturbed by it. Because one who is well versed in the scriptures, he knows who is God. He knows the qualities of God. He knows how to recognize the genuine incarnation of God. Actually, this mystic yogi had many, many rich followers. And they were all begging Thakur Bhaktivinoda to release him, but he refused to budge. On the day that Thakur Bhaktivinoda was supposed to write the judgment, there was a trial. So he was supposed to write a judgment. This mystic yogi was so powerful that his whole body was paining and he could not even lift his hand. He was in so much pain. But still Thakur Bhaktivinoda did not deviate from the true principles and he refused to release him. Because Thakur Bhaktivinoda was determined to establish the true teachings of the Lord tested him. But in the end, just 1 hour before Thakur Bhaktivinoda was supposed to release the judgment on this crook, Krishna, his pain went away and he was able to write the judgment. And then Thakur Bhaktivinoda went and wrote the judgment and convicted this man to 6 months in jail. Now Thakur Bhaktivinoda had read that these mystic yogis that keep their power in their hair. Our Vaishnava devotees, they don't keep their power in their sikhas. But the mystic yogis do. Where did Durvasa Muni take out the demon when he wanted to kill an Amrish Maharaj? From a sikha! Durvasa Muni wanted to annihilate Amrish Maharaj, so he produced a demon. And that demon was ready to burn Amrish Maharaj. So mystic yogis keep their power here in the sikha. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda, as this man was being taken out of the prison, he ran behind and cut his sikha out. And this bogus yogi, in the prison he took poison and he committed suicide. And then the whole town said, yes, Thakur Bhaktivinoda was right. And his children and wife, they all recovered also. So there's so many wonderful stories of Thakur Bhaktivinoda. Many great acharyas have called him the 7th Goswami. You know the 6 Goswamis? And he's called the 7th Goswami. Thakur Bhaktivinoda was a very powerful writer. He would work in the office from 9 or 10 o'clock till 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock he would come home and have prasad. Then at 7 o'clock he would go to take rest. And then he would get up at 12 o'clock. Then from 12 o'clock in the night till 6 in the morning he would write. And then he would get ready, take a little prasad and go to work. And Thakur Bhaktivinoda wrote over 100 books. Ajaiva Dharma, Chaitanya Charitam, Sikshamrita. And it was Thakur Bhaktivinoda who organized the worldwide preaching of the Krishna conscious process. In 1896, Thakur Bhaktivinoda wrote a book called Life and Precepts of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Thakur Bhaktivinoda, after writing this book, he sent this book to all the universities all over the world. In fact, in Montreal, Canada, he sent this book to McGill University in 1896. This is the university from where we had the opportunity to also graduate. And in Montreal, McGill University, this book was lying in the library till the Krishna conscious devotees came to Montreal in 1966. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda had this great vision that Lord Chaitanya's teachings would be embraced by the whole world. He was fully convinced that the whole world would take to Lord Chaitanya's teaching. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda sent his book on Lord Chaitanya to every university of the world. But the first university he sent was this McGill University in Montreal. Thakur Bhaktivinoda had predicted that one day in Mayapur, the British men, the Russians, the Americans, the French, the Japanese, they'll all come, sing and dance together. Actually, Thakur Bhaktivinoda did not use the word Sovietic, he used the word Ruski. So he said, people from the whole world would come and dance and sing the holy names of Krishna. So today this is happening. Some of you have been to Vrindavan, to Mayapur like Achyuta. But now every year at the Mayapur festival, devotees come from every corner of the world. And they together take part in the parikramas, chanting, dancing, feasting. Another great contribution that Thakur Bhaktivinoda made was that he identified Lord Chaitanya's birthplace. Actually, there was great confusion as to which was exactly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace. And many people were thinking that Navadvip was the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Navadvip's on the other side of the Ganga. So, Thakur Bhaktivinoda carried his spiritual master Jagannath Das Babaji. Jagannath Das Babaji could not walk. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda carried him on his head in his old age. And he identified, yes, this is Mayapur, birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Thakur Bhaktivinoda organized the development of Mayapur. And so then Mayapur was developed. Lord Thakur Bhaktivinoda helped establish different temples in Mayapur. Thakur Bhaktivinoda, after he resigned from government service, he was going house to house and begging for 1 rupee donation. And Thakur Bhaktivinoda, because he was preaching very forcefully, as I said earlier, our philosophy is, doesn't matter whether you're Brahmin or Kshatriya, white, black, brown. If you're well versed in the science of Krishna, then you can take everyone back to Godhead. But Thakur Bhaktivinoda, at that time the Brahmanas were there in society, and the Brahmins were saying, no, you have to be born as a Brahmin. Only then you can preach God's message. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda destroyed this theory. And his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, later on preached this philosophy in a bigger way, where he destroyed the concept that only by birth you can be a Brahmana. As I told all of you, Thakur Bhaktivinoda did not take sannyas till old age. In retired life, only at the end he took sannyas. It is said that when he was in the Grihastha ashram, he went to his spiritual master and said, should I take sannyas? His spiritual master said, no, you're already in sannyas. There's no need to take sannyas. But still, Thakur Bhaktivinoda did take sannyas, but right at the end of his life. He trained up all his 12 children to become pure devotees. And the greatest of the children was whom? Whose name? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So once the story is, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was a young boy, he ate a mango without offering it to Krishna. Till the age of 5, you can let the child do what it wants. But after the age of 5, the child has to be disciplined. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati ate this mango without offering it to Krishna when he was 5 years old. The Thakur Bhaktivinoda severely chastised him. Why did you eat this fruit without offering it to Krishna? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati took it so seriously that for the rest of his life, he never ate a mango again. Even when his disciples would offer him mangoes, he would say, I have made a mistake when I was a child, so I'm not going to eat a mango. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda wrote, as I said, hundreds of books and songs. We don't have much time, but I'll just go over some of the highlights of some songs' message. In the song that we sang this morning, just now, Jeev Jago Gora Chanda Bole, Thakur Bhaktivinoda is revealing the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to reclaim the fallen souls of Kali Yuga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to present a very sublime philosophy that could be availed of by everyone in Kali Yuga. Like all of you have taken to Krishna consciousness, obviously you were not born in this culture. Today there are more than 400 centers around the world, and in most of these, nearly all the people who are participating in this process were not born in this culture. But why are people taking to it? Because it is very satisfying. It works. It satisfies the individual, gives them a real sense of happiness. Recently, in the August 3 issue of Newsweek magazine, there was a big article called New Gods in Russia. Did you see that article? We знаете? Это первый раз вы слушаете? Okay. Newsweek is a very big magazine. It goes all over the world. It's one of the biggest magazines in the world. So they had a very big article. And in that article they said, this is the issue of August the 3rd. So in that article they have said that the Hare Krishna movement is the fastest growing spiritual movement in Russia. And Newsweek magazine has estimated that there are 7 lakh followers of Hare Krishna just in Russia, 700,000. It is Newsweek Uvacha, so it must be true. Krishna vacha niyat sikta pravadal. But music vacha must be true. So people everywhere are taking the Krishna consciousness. Why? Because they find it very satisfying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to deliver the conditioned souls with the sublime process. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda is saying, "O conditioned soul, please get up. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared to reclaim you." So Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, "I have appeared specially to deliver you, O conditioned soul." I'm not discussing word by word the meaning of the song 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐭𝐫𝐴𝐬𝐿 because we don't have enough time. Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, "I'm your only real friend. I have appeared just to save you." So the devotee of the Lord who is delivering the message of God is the only real friend of society. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, "I have brought this one medicine to save you. Please take this medicine." And if you take the medicine, then the disease of illusion will be destroyed. And what is the disease of illusion? Identifying with the body. So Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, "Please pray for the holy name and take it at any cost." Then another song, Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, "Grihe thako vane thako sada hari bole dako sukhe dukhe bhulo nako vadana hari nama koro re." That is, whether you're a householder or a sannyasi, constantly chant the names of Hari Hari. Don't forget the names of Hari, whether you're happy or sad. Generally, we forget the names of God when we get what we want. And we remember God when we are in trouble, isn't it? Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, whether you're happy or in distress, always remember, chant the names of Hari Hari. Then in one other song, Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, "Manasa deha geha yog kichur mora aripilam tuya pade nand kishora." My dear Lord, I place everything at your lotus feet. My wife, my children, my property, my house, everything is yours. Use it as you see fit. And Thakur Bhaktivinoda said, "My dear Lord, if you desire, I may take my next birth even as a worm in the house of a Vaishnava." Why? Because in the house of Vaishnava, you'll have the chance of hearing the holy names of Krishna. So he says, "Please, if I have to take my next birth, I'm ready to take my birth as a worm, but in the house of a Vaishnava." So on this auspicious day, the appearance day of Thakur Bhaktivinoda on this planet, all of us, all the devotees should pray for Thakur Bhaktivinoda's causeless mercy so that we can spiritually advance, so that we can become spiritually peaceful, so that we are determined to throw Maya out. So we are determined to serve Krishna according to the direction of Guru, seriously. Thakur Bhaktivinoda is very kind. To many of you devotees, he is your great-great-great-grandfather, isn't it? So he's very kind. He's watching all of you. And if you all pray and sincerely desire to throw illusion out, he'll help you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare